Dun, 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 dun. We are back live in the studio with an absolute legend.
Oh, please.
I gotta say, man, yo, I was telling Will earlier, we've been playing you since our very first show on the radio 5 years ago. That's crazy, man.
It's crazy, bro. I mean, it's the wonderful thing about, making music is, and I've always been pretty good about this, like, even though I'm out on the West Coast now, it's just, like, it never gets old sort of thing. Like, people, like, be like, oh, man, I only got, like, 150 followers on Spotify, or, I only got, my SoundCloud didn't get the numbers I wanted. I'm like, bro, there's people that, like, willingly listen to my music.
Right.
like, in this era, I don't know how, like, I can't overstate how hard it is sometimes to just get that to happen, let alone, like, hey, man, I support you. I actually, like, play your shit on my, radio station or my podcast, or, I put it in my movie or whatever.
Yeah.
It never gets old. So I appreciate it, man. It's like sometimes you get, as an artist, we have a tendency to be egomaniacs and get in our own head. But when you like hear that and you're like, no, dude, I love this song on this album, really spoke to me, or this reminded me of this summer or whatever, you're just like, whoa, that's crazy.
It brings you back.
Yeah, bro.
Like when I hear Ray Donovan, that brings me back to a time in my life, bro.
Yeah, dude. And that's what's fire, because it's like, for me, when I wrote Ray Donovan, like, I was just breaking into acting, and I was trying to, we did a couple auditions for Ray Donovan and some other stuff, and then it was just like, I got, for whatever reason, girls think I look like Liev Schreiber, which is fine with me. It's a pretty decent doppelganger.
Yeah.
I think I'm better looking. No, I'm just
of
kidding.
Course.
But anyways, they would say it, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty fun little thing, and I'll flip it. It's a guy from Boston that does dirty working out in L.A., and I was like, all right, let's put something out. Latrell James and his brother did the beat. You know what I mean? Latrell, I've always had a lot of respect for. He's, one of my favorite local artists, and he's just super talented on so many different levels. Yeah, man, exactly. And that, for me, that time period was like, I had just moved to LA, and I was like, experiencing new things. So I always hear it, and I'm like, oh man, like, I remember I was sleeping on a friggin' mattress in the living room at my cousin's house. You know what I mean? Like, I picked up and left out of nowhere. Left my job, left everything I knew, just to be like, all right, I'm gonna go chase the dream. And now,
what made you decide to do that? Because I think a lot of artists are stuck in that, like, do I make the jump? And I have a lot of friends who have made the jump, and maybe it was premature because they'll be back a few months later. And it's, as you know, it's tough out there.
It is. It's tough. I mean, I think, you gotta have a plan to a degree. I mean, I was a little lucky. My cousin was already out there.
Right.
So I knew, like, worst case scenario, I'd be okay as far as, okay, I have a place to live and that stuff. And then, like, I think in the music era, I mean, unless you're doing stuff that gets you money in alternative ways,
course,
not 9 to 5s, you gotta remember, you gotta hustle. So even if you're not gonna do the whole street thing, like, you gotta find a way. Like, there's nobody cares, you know what I mean? I'm sitting here like, oh, poor me, like, I don't have enough money to get this album together. So
you gotta make it happen.
You gotta make it happen. So I was working, even when I was in Boston, people always like, oh, dude, how'd you get on? How'd you do this with, just local scene? And I'm like, bro, I was working 3 jobs. Like, I was teaching, I was working bartending, I was bouncing, I was doing the music thing. Like, I didn't sleep. Like, I was literally, and I'm not saying that was necessarily healthy either, but it was like, I wanted to make sure I had money to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
So when I hit LA, it was kind of the same deal. It was like, all right, I'm gonna save up money. I saved up, like, I don't know, $6 or $7 grand, and I quit my job. I gave them like a month's notice, and I had been there 8 years. I had a good little thing going, but quit the bar, and I was just like, I'm driving out there, and people were like, you're nuts. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna be fine. And when I get out there, I'm gonna find a job, and I did. I started working security at a gentleman's club, and then all of a sudden, 3 months later, the manager quit, and then,
oh wow.
So now I'm the manager.
Boom.
So, if you're in LA and you like gentlemen's clubs as well as rap music, you can hit me up. But yeah, that, like, and it just worked out. And I've, you gotta
have faith.
You gotta have faith, and you gotta balance things, and you gotta spend money on yourself. You know what I mean? It sucks. I wish I could just be like, oh, I'm not gonna do this. Rent's hella expensive in LA. I get it, but there's a lot of other people trying to do what you're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Now, did you notice, like, people would take notice to you as a Boston head being out there? Because when I was out there, I noticed, like you said, that work ethic, being absolutely hungry to get it. Is that something that you also encountered?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, LA's, again, so I think LA gets a bad rap a little bit. I think the Hollywood thing is, like, a lot of people, like, kind of stick to that. But in reality, there's a lot of other parts of LA, and people are a lot more normal than it, like, gets presented as.
Right.
But is that side where it's like people just bullshit and coast by, and, like, they love name dropping out there. Oh, I work with French, or I worked with, and you're like, that's cool, man, but, like, I'm not trying to work with French or Diddy or any of these
Yeah.
dudes. I mean, unless, one day I get on, like, to that level. But that's not my goal. My goal right now is to make music, put it out, and hopefully, like, people like it and it gets heard, and, like, try to network with people that are actually going to be in control of that. So DJs, other artists on your level, stuff like that. And then, if somebody big hits you up, like, great, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, when I first got out there, I was kind of surprised a little bit, but they picked up on it pretty quick. They know. They're always like, you're not from around here. You know what I mean? They always hit you with that. And they're like, I'm from Boston. I go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's...
Yep. I didn't think I had an accent until I went out there.
Yeah.
And, like, start telling people stories. I love telling stories. That's one of my favorite things to do. And I would get, like, halfway through, and I'd say, oh, I was at my neighbor's house. You're where? Your neighbor's house?
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. It would just get so frustrating.
Yeah.
But, I think you lived through it.
You do, and they there's like a part of it. They love the culture class. Fucking the women love it.
Oh, yeah.
The women love the accent. They love the Boston thing.
Yep.
They love the... a lot of good, women, they're just interested in, like, people from other places, especially girls that are from LA. So there's advantages. Some people hate it. Some women hate it, some men hate it. It's cool. It's like, all right, well, fuck you. I've been doing this with my whole life. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And you joke, and you're fast with your jokes, and, our, like, culture kind of comes out, and people take notice. But it's funny, when you work with people in the industry, once you start doing stuff for people, whether it be, like, I've done some ghostwriting, I've done some, like, reference tracks, I've done some... work with guys at Interscope at Universal, and they immediately are like, man, you're so quick. Like, and it is. It's like if you send me something and you're like, write this record for, pick an artist and get it done by next Friday. That shit's in the mailbox that Thursday. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go to the studio. I'm going to book the studio out. I'm not going to ask about compensation, none of that. I'm just going to get it done, and then I'm going to send it in, and then if I get paid off that or somebody picks up the record, like, great. Like, I made music off what I like to do. Made money off of what I like to do.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that. They're just like, man, you're no bullshit. And you're like, I don't want, I'm not too big. Who am I? You know what I mean? Like, I'm respected where I'm from, but I'm not, I don't think I've achieved a level of success where I can just, pussyfoot a bunch of like reference records and stuff. It's not fair. You gotta, like, again, and that goes back to getting it done. And that means it's done right. It's not like a rush job. It's more just like, I'm gonna take this seriously. It's like when you're in school or anything else, okay, this needs to be done. And they do. They pick up on it. They're like, you're definitely not from around here. Yeah.
So following up on, like, your word is definitely important. Are there anything else that you learned just being in the music game out there? Like, obviously the industry is a lot different. Are there any sort of perspectives that you could give maybe some of the local artists out here who are thinking about making that move? Yeah,
Boston's like, so you got to keep in mind, I mean, we're all hungry, right? Every artist wants to be heard, right? That's the number one thing. I understand it. I think it's something we can all relate to. And then I think there's this kind of ongoing thing with Boston. Thankfully, it's shed a little bit the last few years with some recent success of guys like Stiz and some of these artists that have, like, been able to kind of crack the national stage. Yeah. And... I think it used to be this, like, constant, like, rush and, like, almost like anxiety of, like, who's going to be first or who's going to do this. Like, and I used to joke about it all the time, like, man, I don't give a fuck who's first. Like, just let me in the door after you're in. You know what I mean? Like, and I always said, like, it didn't matter if it was, back when I was coming up, it was Dutch and it was, Stiz and Replay and all these people that were, like, really pummeling the game. And it was like, not only did I like their music and respect them as people and love them as people, but I was like, I want them to win. Like, that weird, like... they talk about the old Boston hating and all that stuff, which, is probably still exists. I don't really try to pay attention to it. It's like, I just always thought it was super weird for a few reasons. Like, even if you were totally selfish, it's still backwards. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, if one dude pops, like when the drill scene popped in 2011, 2012, and like some of these other scenes, it's like one dude and then there's 15 other dudes because there's all these eyes on the scene, you know what I mean? And it was like, people were so obsessed with that one thing. So I think when you shift and you're in the industry, you realize two things. One, you're appreciative where you come from, you bring your own style, but it's so small. And when you get to LA, nobody gives a shit, man. Nobody gives a shit what you wear in Boston. They don't give a shit. And that's okay. Don't take that. I don't want to scare local artists away. It's more just like, they don't care, man. Like, they're going to hit up their DJs or their people in that city through their Universal Recs. They're not looking for, like, some dude, like, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be like, who's hot in the city? And they're going to get probably the three guys are probably hot in the city. You know what I mean? And that's it. And that's okay. So don't get upset about it. Don't freak out about it. Just kind of realize, like, Boston is great. You want to be put on in your own city. You want to put on your own city. You want to be respected. You want to have your piece of it. But it's not the only thing. And you don't want to get so lost in this area of like I need to dominate Boston or I need to dominate this. Like, don't think about it so much as dominating or like blowing up. It's just like, put out quality music that you're comfortable with, whether that be like your street anthems, whether that be your boom bap shit, whether it be your crossover shit. I don't care. Like, whatever you could be rapping and
stay in your lane and make it dope.
Yeah, make it dope. And then like if people fuck with it and you hustle and you get it up there, like people will notice. You know what I mean? That's the other thing on the flip side of LA. It's big and it's a beast. People take you seriously. I'm an artist. Like sometimes you tell a dude you're a rapper and the motherfucker rolls his eyes. Like, oh my god. You know what I mean? Oh, in LA they're like, oh word, let me see your shit. And then you send it, and they're like, yo, I like these 2 records, and you're almost, like, blown away. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes people ghost you or whatever. But it's amazing, especially if you're working, like, behind-the-scenes stuff. They're like, people have hit me up for, like, stuff for movies, for TV stuff. Like, I want to use this record in this. Can we get this cleared? Things like that. And, some people will be like, oh, well, Nat, and you hear this, too, people online. Oh, dude, he only has 2,000 views on his last video or whatever. It's like, yeah, but I've got Universal and I got this guy and I got this guy in my inbox and I'm making legitimate money off it. I don't really.
Yeah,
I would love to see the numbers pop, but it's like I'm gonna do beat myself up about it. I put out a quality video. I like the music. I like the message. I got a lot of feedback that was positive, and if it didn't go, it didn't go. It's all good. You know what I mean? Now it's the next joint. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna wait around and feel bad for you. Like it's not a forgiving game, you know what I mean? It's not. So I would just say stay consistent, drop, again, the number one thing has to be the music, and then the second thing is like you got to get it heard. So whatever way you feel is the best way to do that, go for it. Yeah. And don't worry about shit else. Don't be worrying about what the people are telling you how your shit sounds. Like put out what you think is dope. Maybe your team thinks is dope if you're lucky enough to have one, but don't be worried about all that other shit.
I have a question for you as an artist. How do you feel about like staying true to yourself and being authentic as opposed to like, just doing some mainstream shit? Because there's both sides of the argument. I'm a true like hip hop head, like, you gotta write your own bars type shit, but also you look at artists like Lil Tecca, who, it's all cap, but this kid's making crazy money.
There's 2 sides of it. I mean, for me, yes, I don't think I would ever be comfortable. Like, I could never put out a record that I didn't write, right? Could I write a record for somebody else? Yes, and I have. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with that. That's just the way I'm making money off making music. And as we've seen with artists that are huge, I mean like Neo and Carrie Hilson, that whole gang, if you look them up, they used to have like a writers group or a group that was writing all the hits for Britney Spears and all these people, and they didn't have a shot for a lot of years. And then when they did, these are tremendously good songwriters. Whether or not you're a Neo or Carrie fans, those are big hits. They get hits. So I think it's a weird dynamic because you want to stay true, but at the same time, if a dude comes to me and wants to hear a strip club record, or they want to hear, a pop record or a verse for some Ariana Grande song, like that's cool. Like we can write that, and it's almost fun because it's, again, you mentioned like I'm doing some acting too. It's kind of like acting. You're like, okay, I'm not putting my name on this as like, look at me, I'm like, this young, cool 22-year-old frat rapper dude. It's like, no, I wrote this for this artist, and he's gonna do his spin on it, and it's, hopefully people like it. I'm gonna make some money off it, and then I get to go back to making the music I make. So like when I put something out, I always try to have my spin on it. Whether it's like, and I've experimented with stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I've done poppy stuff. I've done strip club stuff. Working in gentlemen's clubs and having girls that are interested in different stuff that you want. Girls run the game. I mean, if you have ears on your music, and then you have women that are also happen to be extremely attractive women, like that helps a lot, especially out in the LA industry. They're telling you, yo, my girls think this shit's hard, and all the dudes of course love what the girls are listening to. They're trying to kick it. So you gotta listen to women and all types of women, black women, white women, Spanish women. I mean, look at Cardi now and all the shit that's going on with Spanish music. All that South American rap is huge in LA now. There's all the Mexican, Latin trap, all that shit is, Bad Bunny's been popping out there for years, you know what I mean? So it's, and the other day I went to a fucking show with Apple from the Black Eyed Peas and my boy Johnny, and Johnny is a reggae artist, Johnny Blade, and he is, dude, he's just nice. He's like a nice reggaeton artist. Like you hear his shit and you're like, that's mad I don't even know what he's saying. This shit is mad catchy, you know what I mean? And then, you do your research, or I'll talk to him, we'll do some writing or read the lyrics. I'm like, that shit's hard. And then you got, again, like guys like Black Eyed Peas that sold God knows how many records coming out of their little like mansion or whatever they're doing, and like literally supporting dude because they think the music's fire and they're trying to get in, and like their latest record was a kind of a reggaeton spin called like Mama or something like that. So there's all these like, dynamics that it's okay to try out, I think. I mean, you're never going to hear me, right, like I'm never going to do a drill record. We're talking about shooting people like Slim, whatever his name is, Slim Jesus or something like that. But that's just me.
Right.
And then there's artists that don't care. They're just like,
make whatever.
They do what they want. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and judge dudes, but like, I would have a hard time getting on a record and like lying.
Probably wouldn't be on that.
Yeah, like saying I have a gat like while I'm like recording in the studio. Like, I don't, man. Like, I got like a baseball bat in the trunk
just in
case. Get rocking, you know what I mean?
Right.
But we can box, but like I'm not. I've done plenty of boxing. I mean, we can take this outside right now, but I'm not. Yeah, that's just me, and I'm with you. I mean, I'm kind of caught in this in between. I mean, I came up with like Gangstar and Wu-Tang and all that shit. Like, I'm a little older than the cats coming up now, but at the same time, I remember when it switched, and I was still in school, and I was like, I like this shit too. I like hot girls and strippers dancing to this shit. I like club music. I like.
And now you're working in the club.
Yeah, so you get the dynamic. So and it's like, and I like. There's like stupid pop songs, or what some people would say are cheesy pop songs. That I just like. I mean, that's just music, Sometimes Kesha comes on and I like that shit. Like, I'm gonna sing along to Kesha because I'm drunk and I'm feeling good. And I'm gonna die young tonight. Like, that's the song. Ooh. But like, that doesn't mean I'm riding around like getting all like in tune to it. Yeah. I was riding around with him to Benny the Butcher in Dorchester earlier. It's like the hardest street music I've ever heard. I technically shouldn't be able to like quote unquote relate to it, but I was telling him, I'm like, man, I want to go get like some baggies and like this shit's hard as fuck, bro. I'm like. Benny's like one of the nicest out right now. So for me, I mean, I love his music. Bro. Yeah, he's fire.
So we talked about music a lot, but I want to talk a little bit about acting, bro. Because you mentioned it earlier. I want to know, like, how did you get into that and sort of like?
So it's funny.
How is that?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I've always been involved with movies and film. Before I even did rap and music, I was a film studies major in college, and I was really focused on screenwriting first. I was making movies with my brother and like other people with my family, just. A little camcorder, I would edit it and do the whole thing. I always wanted to be on that tip, which was cool. You know what I mean? It was cool. And then Boston, like when I came out of college, the recession hit. There was nothing going on. I was like, what am I going to do? Started teaching just because I had lucky enough to have an opportunity. And I kind of shelved the acting and the writing thing. And then music I had kind of always done in secrecy. And then I was writing bars. I was putting together little joints. And then I finally was like, I started getting really involved in the local scene as a fan. Like I was seeing like dudes like Jay the Ass, Greater Good were like my favorite group back then. Maybe the Camp. I really liked Deese, and like I know Big Deese is killing it right now again.
I saw him at the it was the DNA in the Lab cypher.
Oh, he's disgusting.
Deese
is like the nastiest freestyler I've ever heard.
Murdered it.
Off the top, like him and etc. Like two dudes. Like I mean, guys that have seen them perform, or like even now Deese is. He'll drop a 16 daily and like off the top that like is better than shit people sit down and write on. So those were dudes I really respected and messed with and like was almost like inspired by, you know what I mean? Like Jay the S was another one. He was such a dope performer and had this dope swag. It was different and it was original. Same thing with Deese. He just kind of had this big fucking Italian swag. He was just like, yo, dude, I'm the man. And you were like, I fed off that type of shit. But then there was a lot of other shit. Like I'm not gonna lie, that I was like. That ain't it. And I remember reading what I was writing and recording and listening, and I'm like, I got to show this to some people because I think it's good. And I showed it to like my cousin, who would definitely tell me I sucked if I did. And he was like shocked. And then it went into that. So music kind of almost happened like quickly and out of nowhere, because once I put some stuff out, people like really reacted well, and then I like went for it while the iron was hot, if you will, and I all of a sudden 12 for 12, and
I remember those
all those days, and like getting a chance to freestyle in front of people. I always could freestyle, and people were like, dude, those punchlines are great, blah blah blah. So the acting thing like got shelved just because music was so popular in Boston, and then Boston, while it does have some opportunities for acting, it's obviously not as much as other cities. So right before I moved, it was a two-part process. I was moving out for music, but I also knew I was going to be acting. So I started doing stuff at Boston Casting. I started taking classes. And then when I moved out there, I immediately got an agent, luckily with a commercial agent. I did some other classes. But in general, like I always felt it was kind of just, when you're a performer, you're a performer. So don't get me wrong, there's some guys that do the whole, the actors that go through the Tisch School or they go through Stanford, and they're amazing and they deserve that credit. But sometimes people are just, they go through music, or they go through stand-up comedy or life, you know what I mean? Like, and all of a sudden they're an actor. So when I got out there, It took a little while, but I mean, it's another game, of course, that you have to do a lot of waiting around, and then once you get in, you do, and it's fun. I mean, it booked a few national commercials that have been cool.
Yeah.
And then I just shot our first film. It's an independent short called Finding Filmin'. That's going to be coming out this year. It's in the film festival submission circuit.
That's dope, bro.
I did the whole original soundtrack. We're gonna release that later. I got Billy Loman's one of the producers.
Loman?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's
let's
nice.
go.
I got a record with him. Another
Let's
dude.
go.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, and then who's the other one? Oh, Paul Water. He's a Oakland-based producer, and he's nice. He's done some stuff with Brandon Torrey, who's from Brockton.
Mm-hmm.
Banksy, who's from Mattapan. There's a few Boston connections to that whole process, but yeah, the acting's done well. I did a read the other day for a huge miniseries with some huge names attached, and just even if you don't book it, it's about being good in the room, making a positive impact with the people you're dealing with, not just as a nice human being, but again, like acting's a business, and so is music. So you got to be mindful of that. You gotta be ready to remember names and be friendly and put your notes down to remember who you were dealing with. 10 pages of dialogue off book, not no help, just going in there remembering 4 scenes and being into it. It's been it's rewarding because it's a lot of hard work, but it's one of those things I have faith in. I know it's gonna work. I'm also writing. I just wrote, as my brother was saying, I'm about 110 pages deep in a screenplay right now, so it's a Western.
That's fine. So you're expanding your portfolio. Yeah,
any way in. You know what I mean? If we're going to rob a house, you're going to hit the front, I'm going to hit the back. We might have this dude go through the window, right? We'll probably have better odds. One of us might get caught, but, we're going to get it. Or, it's just you banging on the door. So that's the way I look at it. It's like I know I have multi interests. You know what I mean? I've always been a writer in some capacity, right? Like I've done tons of poetry writing. I've done novel writing and I've done screenwriting, and then I've done acting, and then I've done music. So I was like, look, this is all entertainment. It's under the same umbrella. Slane's a perfect example. He's another one. George is my guy, and he's a great example. He's a guy that's made really authentic music that's connected with a huge demographic of people. Yeah. And then
that name holds weight in the city.
Holds weight, and dude, he's a well-respected human being. That's not a guy that you can just talk badly about. Like Slane he's a good ass dude, and he's done a lot in Boston and beyond. And then also he's got quite a portfolio. I mean, Gone Baby Gone is probably the most authentic Boston movie since Friends of Eddie Coyle. And then I got
a buddy who is in that. He has one line. He's riding his bike, right? He almost the car almost hits him, and he just goes, "Yo, watch out the way!" And he just goes, "Go fuck your mother." That's his one line.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's my buddy.
And Casey's Casey's driving the whip, yo, dude. His wife's in the car.
Fuck your mother.
Oh, fuck your mother. Yeah,
that's his line. It's hilarious.
He's been killing it. He was in Killing Me Softly with Brad Pitt. He's been in joints and he's still making music, good music with not only local artists but dudes outside the city. So he's another example. He's done a great job with it. There's plenty other examples. I mean, Ice Cube, all these people that have found ways to make their imprint. I mean, Ice Cube has been making movies for longer than he raps. I mean, straight up.
At this point,
I mean, he's been making movies since 96.
I think so. Yeah.
Friday was 95, 96.
Damn.
So
you're right. Yeah, he has.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Rap legend, certified classics, NWA, no doubt. All respect, but it's crazy to have a movie career. Crazy, even if you just get paid, even if you're just some dude that's in it, pops up and things. This is a leading man.
And think about
black
that.
Comedian.
He's also paved the way for a lot of other artists that he put in his films.
And then music, soundtracks, all that stuff. And that's kind of the way I was looking at it. And same thing, people are always like, well, what do you do? I'm like, well, dude, let's just say for the sake of argument, I do get on. I get in a movie, I get my little part, and then I get some production done, and I make my own movie. Now I'm putting the music together. Now it's not just my music, but it's people from home. And that's always been important to me. I know people always say that shit, oh, I'm going to put everyone on, and then they fucking disappear when they get on. But I've always been a believer, Boston is your team, right? It's the way we root for the Bruins or the Celtics or the Red Sox or the Pats. It's it doesn't really matter who's on the team that year, you're rooting for them. It's the same thing with the rap shit. I've never understood, if someone blows, I don't even know who the dude is. I'm going to be like, where is he from? He's from Boston. I hope he fucking kills it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care about much else. If I hear later on that he's whack or something bad happened, maybe that might affect it. But in general, it's like when Pistola went, I didn't know who that dude was, but I was like, that record's crazy. Yeah, that record's crazy. And he's from the city. I'm not there anymore as much. I mean, usually I'm pretty, I pay attention. Don't let them fool you. I pay attention, and I hear everything that people say, and I like it because it keeps me hungry too. You know what I mean? But then you're out there with LA with Stiz, and at Stiz's party, and you're bumping all these people, and you're just like, this is fire. Like this is what I'm talking about. I've never been the one that like it needs to be me. Like it's more about like I'm blessed to be a part of it. Yeah. I feel like I have something that I can offer, and if people want to jump on, like great, and if they don't, well, who gives a fuck?
Exactly. I think you share that mentality with a lot of artists coming out at this point, and I compare it to Drake a lot. When he was on. Think about how many artists came after him from Toronto. Granted, Toronto probably had a dope music scene before he was out there. Right. But, The Weeknd, Party Next Door, like, the list goes on.
Yeah, Amir Obey or whatever that dude's name. There's a bunch of them.
It popped, right? And when that spotlight came to Toronto, you started to see all those artists, at least on a national level. I feel like the same thing's going to happen in Boston, and I think it's going to happen in a different way. We may not have that one artist that blows. But the spotlight's still gonna come because we're gonna make it so dope. That the spotlight's good. It's inevitable. That's the way I see it.
There's just the other thing people forget. And again, I know we're focused in the consumer is focused on the artist. There's a lot of movers and shakers in the music industry and entertainment industry that are from Boston. I mean, you got Boston University and Emerson alone. The connections through that is crazy.
Berkeley,
Berkeley's another one. So you have these connections that are insane, and then just people that people not forget along the way, but people that are out there that I came up with, like Malcolm, like Music is for Life, from WERS. He's working with Live Nation now. Like there's all all these different like levels to the shit. And then when I was at Stiz's release party a couple weeks ago. In LA.
That arcade thing?
The joint out in LA. It was like this like pop-up shit, and I was out there with Tim and all the guys. But like when you're out there, then you start bumping into people that you know who they are. Sometimes you don't. But at every number, 617, you're networking. I work for this. I work for Live Nation. I work for Universal. I'm doing A&R work for Warner. Like there's all these dudes and girls, and again, tons of women, young women that are killing it, not just in the artist game, but like artist management, business side. Yeah. These women know what the fuck they're doing. They know they run the shit. Men are always going to want to hear the music that women like. You know what I mean? And that's just a fact. Like I'm not even trying to say it on some like political correctness or non-correctness. It's just like in general, like that's kind of the way the music moves. You know what I mean? I mean, I think Drake and other guys have said it. Like women are the best A&Rs in the game, whether it be the strip clubs, whether it be the women calling the shots, whether the pretty girls at the club, whatever. It doesn't matter. Even the female hip hop heads, it doesn't matter. Like they have a huge part in this game. They deserve it. You know what I mean? And it should be, pushed out there more because it is like it's like the world, man. It's male dominated in a lot of bullshit ways, and it should be more equal. And that shit is dope now when I'm out there and I'm seeing all these people, I taught. So even some of the kids that I used to teach are already up to my age where they can be like in the same room as me now. They're past 21. Yeah. And they're like, yo, Mr. Anglin, that shit's crazy. It's mind-boggling. I'm DJing, I'm rapping, I'm doing this. And I'm like, hell yeah, man. Like, that's what you should be doing. You know what I mean? So it's wild. But I agree. I think Boston, it's always had a place in the game. It always will. People do try to downplay it, and then people will talk shit. You hear New Yorkers and other people, you never had anybody. It's like, who cares, man? Like it doesn't matter. We have examples. They're going to shit on those examples. We have things, but you have people time and time again that have connected and moved on, and we have a lot of respect worldwide.
Definitely.
It's just
100%. City of Champs, baby.
Yeah, baby. They can talk all they want, but that's
we actually were just talking the other day about starting a sports division of Mass Music Radio.
I think you should.
One of our buddies was like, he does journalism, and I think he writes for like the Ledger, the Globe or something. But he called me up and he was like, I want to maybe do like a podcast with you guys, and that got me thinking. I have so many buddies who just like, I listen to them yap all day long about sports. I'm like, why don't we just record this? And because we can play what we want, say what we want, you can really express yourself.
You really can. I have a few buddies that do it, and they crush it and they love it. Yeah. Danny Picard, he does some stuff in WEI now, but he's the same thing. Started out with his own podcast, did it out of a shop similar to this at Beantown Athletics in Dorchester, and a few other guys I know worldwide, and it is. I mean, like again, Boston's funny because it's so closely aligned with everything, like the music scene, the athletic scene, sports scene.
They go hand in hand. We're just talking about like even just doing an episode that's like comparing sports and music. I mean, there's a million examples. Jay-Z just did the thing with the NFL. You got, let's see, Drake with the NBA Finals. Like there was that whole debacle. Like there's a million examples.
Yeah. And then just even like locally, there's a lot going on. I mean, you got guys like, and again, I know his name keeps coming up, but like with Edelman and some of this stuff. I mean, you know, when I put out the Let's Go record, that got me to the Super Bowl, and then you have other people that, you know, you're starting to see some of these local artists get these, you know, Danny Amendola with IV Boston. There's a lot, and James Devlin. There's a lot of dope things going on there too, you know what I mean? But then like on the national level, of course, like everybody, you know, every rapper wants to be a ball player, every ball player wants to be a rapper. It's like the old joke, you know what I mean? It's like it's just the way it is, because, you know, it's I mean, at some point most of us always want, that would be dope, we get to play for the Red Sox, you know, whatever, but it's like
sort of a pipe dream.
Yeah, it's all good, you know what I mean? You grow up and you realize like, damn, that motherfucker's mad talented.
Oh man. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming by today, bro. This has been such a pleasure.
Please, bro. Yeah, man. I was just in town for a short while. I was glad you guys reached out. I do appreciate all the support. Like I said, it never gets old. You know, I've had people hit me up even this week just because I was in town posting stuff and like sending me links to songs that, you know, I wrote 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they're just like, this shit is fire. Like, keep putting music out. You know, and
that keeps you going,
right? Keeps you going. Dudes in Berlin hit me up. Dudes in France. Like, and again, am I the most popping artist on SoundCloud, Spotify? No, but it doesn't matter to me. Like, 'cause it's like, look, if you make something, like you said, from who you are, showing off, like, you know, my music's always been centered about who I am and where I'm coming from, and trying to put my spin on the world, and, you know, if people respect it, like,
right, and you put something out, you never know, like, where it's gonna touch someone or hit someone. A bar that you say could hit someone, and it could be something they live for. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's like quotes. I've seen people send me quotes about stuff, and they're like, "Yo, this shit hit me." I'm like, yeah, I get it, because it's the same thing with me. Like, sometimes I hear dudes or these girls around, and they're like, you know, they make records, and I'm like, you know, Dutch has so many quotables over the years, and other people that I'm just like, you know, I'll run through that over and over and over again. Like, yo, that is my shit. I know exactly what she was thinking at that time. I know exactly what he was thinking at that time, because they're from, you know, we're from the same team. Like, people don't have to like it, but like, we are. Like, when you're coming from Boston, you're all coming from the same place. So it's like, I want people to do well, you know, not just for selfish reasons, just because I want it. You know, I can never make music again. I'm still going to root for the dudes that's coming from where I came from, just because for me, that's always been kind of the way it goes. So I'm just happy to be here, man. Hopefully I'll keep you guys updated. I'll send you the soundtrack to the film and movie.
Definitely. I'm excited for this film. One more time. What, do you have a date, or you have a time?
Nope. So we're waiting for a couple things to go on, but it basically, the film festival circuit's a pretty intricate process. You submit early. We've submitted to over a bunch, and once they let us know, we'll be able to organize, you know, a premiere, and then like when I'm going to launch the music angle. It's a 3-song EP for that. I have another EP that's more like 7 to 8 songs totally done, ready to go after that. So once they kind of kick off the first domino, like, the rest will kind of fall into place. So
please keep us.
I will, man. As soon as I get it, you guys, I'll send it over to you guys early. You know what I mean? I'll have all the info, and like I said, I've got some dope, stuff on there. I'm excited to share with people.
Hell yeah.
Some of it's a little different, but it's fun because, again, it's for a movie, so it's supposed to be like kind of themed. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool. I think people are gonna fuck with it.
I love that, bro. Well, thank you again, and you can follow Nat on Instagram, Twitter. You're all over.
Everywhere. It's just Nat Anglin. N as in Nancy. ATANGLIN. That's it. It's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You know, holler at me on social media. I like to talk to people about music and about sports and all that shit, politics, whatever you got. Hit me up, man. I try to keep in contact with all the local artists coming up. I've had a lot of artists hit up for me for advice, whatever, man. Whatever way I can help.
Even us, like, I can be a testament to that. When we first started on the radio, I remember you were one of the first artists that, like, even hit us back. Like, yo, I fuck with what you guys are doing. Even like to look back on like the level we were at, it's like that shit meant a lot to us.
Well, because you have a huge part of the scene too, and that's again going back. Not everybody can be an artist, or not everybody wants to be an artist, right? And it's like videographers, the podcasters, the music, the showrunners, all, you know, the hosts. All these have a part in the game, and then, like, if you're not at least trying to like reach back to people that support you and like play your music, then I mean, I guarantee you it's not gonna work out. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta you got to find what works for you, you know, and for some people it might not be the way I do it, but for me, I've just always thought, like, look, man, if someone's crazy enough to play my records, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to, like, try to do what I can for them, you know what I mean? And whether that's repping their merch or supporting them, you know, a little bit what I can financially, or, you know, making records with dudes that I respect, you know. I used to get some guys hit me up out of nowhere, like, you want to do a record? I'd be like, sure, and they'd be like shocked. I'd be like, well, I mean, dude, like, I like your music, like, you're good. You know what I mean? Or I hit up, like, random artists that hadn't met me yet, like, yo, I really fuck with this record, like, this record's crazy. Like, I'm
showing genuine love.
I'm excited for you, I'm proud of you. Like, there's nothing wrong with telling someone that you're proud of them. Like, I know how this game sucks. Like, Millie's is a dude that I didn't know personally, and then we met out in LA, and I put him on a show for, like, 5 minutes. You know, I put him on my show, and Millie's is fucking out of here, man. Like, that dude's out of here. And it's like, not because it had nothing to do with me. It was just one of those moments where it's like, I genuinely fuck with this dude's music. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, man, if you're out here, come through. Like, yeah, do 100%. A record or two. Like, let's rock it. And then, you know, we always stay in touch. And then, yeah, like, years later, I see him pop up on Flex or whatever. And I'm like, this is the shit, man. Like, and people are like, oh, you're going to do other records? I'm like, it's not about that. Like, we did a record together and we did that stuff, but it's not about that. Like, not everything has to do with me. It's like, that dude's journey is going really well, and I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of, you know, Dutch for what she's doing, or I'm proud of Stiz or whoever, you know, all these artists that are doing their thing, like, and again, I've been really lucky to get to know these people, whether it be artistically or as, like, friends, and it's like, yeah, man, like, I guess I don't have the hater bone, like, I've just always been like, man, get going, bro, like, get your money, get up there, I'm trying to, like, be like, hell yeah, you know what I mean?
Love that,
Let me know where I can cop the merch at, I fuck with that, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And not just, you know, flip side is too, if it's something I honestly don't like or I can't go say, that's okay, you know, sometimes that's the way it is,
let people know.
Genuinely, for the most part, if you're coming out of Boston and, like, you're doing things the way you feel is the right way and it's working, like, I tip my cap, man.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean?
I love that. Well, thank you again, and stay tuned on Mass Music Radio.
Please do.